And when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her.
Yes, God.
And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. And they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest, even unto the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. For the next few moments, we're going to speak on the subject, are you still throwing stones? Are you still throwing stones? Let me talk about stones this morning for a little bit. Very simple and common matter, but very vital. Let me begin by saying that God requires us who are Christians to take care of one another. Not to pamper people in their wrongs, but to encourage them to get back up on their feet when they do wrong or when they fall. This is what being a Christian is all about. We must have that Bartimaeus spirit with us, to be willing to help others when they're down. Let me just tell you what the Bible says about it. Galatians 6:1, it says, brothers, if you are man, be overtaken in a fault, you which are spiritual,
Yes, Lord.
restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering yourself, lest you are also be tempted. Bear one another's burden, so that you will fulfill the law of Christ. Romans 15:1 says that we then are strong, ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves. Hebrews 13:3 says, continue to remember those in prison as if you were together with them in prison, and those who are mistreated as if those yourself were suffering. Hebrews 5 says, my brothers and sisters, if one of you should wander from the truth and someone should bring that person back, remember this, whoever turns a sinner from the error of their ways will save them from death and cover over a multitude of sin. Sister Sherry this morning in Bible study, she said in Sunday school, she said that she told some neighbors who were doing some things, she said, come to church. That's what that passage is telling us right there. That when you can help and put somebody back on track, you have saved them from death. Thank you, Sister Sherry. And many of our churches are suffering in silence because they no longer can trust one another. Let me give you a little history of stones in the Bible and the purpose for them. The Bible talks a lot about stones. Stone which the builders rejected. Peter being the rock. About us being precious stones, diamonds, crystals, and pearls. Suffering in Christ is gold-making process. Stones as memorials. Man built his house on stones. And the Bible goes on and on. Stones show the wonders of God. They symbolize endurance. They show endurance, stability, and permanence. And they represent the ability to be grounded and connected. They are strong and easily accessible. So when that which is used to demonstrate strength and stability is used as a missile to attack someone for their wrong committed, it can be debilitating in efforts. It can break apart. Stones we're talking about. It can degrade and demean a person. Galatians 6 says, therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially those who belong to the family of believers. Amen. Let us examine the text today. Notice what the text says in verse 2. It tells us what time it was. It says the story begins early in the morning. Early in the morning. The accusers were not in church early like the disciples, but they came early only when they wanted to accuse. It's amazing how many show up at church to throw stones. That means somebody brings them early. The text says that Jesus was in the temple teaching. And wouldn't it be something to God that people would be like those with Jesus to hear the word instead of spreading the bad word? We can be on time for work. We can be on time for community meetings, and even on Black Friday, we can make it out at 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning for a sale. And when we'll take our friends and loved ones with us to all of these events. But when it comes to going to the house of God, I can hear somebody moving their pen. We can't make it. If there's a stoning going on, we will carpool. We'll bring our children. If there's a stoning going on, even when we can't get child care, if there's a stoning going on, we will credit money to go there. We'll take off work. Why do we like to see people when they're down? No, notice when it took place. It took place in John 8, 1 and 2. It showed up. Jesus was busy in the temple. You can always find Jesus going about his Father's business. Did you know that you can find rock throwers in the same place where Jesus is? They might be there before Jesus even get there, because they want to get the perfect spot. You know how it is. Christ came to be the light of the world, but they came to kill, steal, and destroy. What a contrast. People are not afraid of God anymore. People are not afraid to come to church and fight with each other. People are not afraid to fight the pastor. They're not afraid to attack people. People come to church. They're not afraid to shoot people while they're worshiping. They're not afraid to go to church and sit there while worship is going on and talk about folk. Notice in the text who was bringing the acquisitions in. Notice in the text who was bringing some fault. The text points out that the scribes and the Pharisees as the accusers. They were supposed to be the religious leaders of that day. They were supposed to be the deacons and the trustees and the officers of the church. They were supposed to be the ones who knew the law. They were well versed in the law. They fully knew what had to be done, but they brought her to Jesus. Look at the text. They brought her to Jesus. Two passages of scripture address this sin that they brought her to. They said that she was caught in the very act of adultery. Leviticus 20 and 10 says, and the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even if he committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. It's in the Bible. Deuteronomy 22 and 22 says, if a man is found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they both should die. Both the men that lay with the woman and the woman shall die, be put to death according to Israel. Adulterous women who engaged were stoned to death. Married women were strangled, and the daughters of priests were burned to death. The scribes and the Pharisees knew what the law said and how to carry it out if they found that one was breaking it, but they wanted to see what Jesus would do. And so they said they caught this one. The Bible was very specific. They caught this one in the very act. Amen. Now, we know that this was a setup. It was an attempt to trap Jesus in an effort to get rid of him. Either it could discredit him with the people in Rome or his relationship to the Lord. And in the very act? Did they follow them? Did they follow them through the night and try and catch them? Did they orchestrate the adultery simply as a means to destroy Jesus? And if they orchestrated, this would explain the lack of the accused male. You know this is Women's Month, right? So you look here, and secondly, how were so many men able to witness such an obscene situation? Were they peeping toms? How did they witness this? And third, where was the compassion? These men, they knew the law. They knew the law. Where was the compassion? Was this merely a gossip believed by so many? You know gossip can get some legs. You know how it can be. Deacons and officers and elders and ministers and apostles can get some gossip and go back as though they have witnessed the situation themselves to be true. They make a motion to condemn someone. It's sad that they would use this woman to achieve their selfish end with no regard for the condition of her soul. The woman needed help, but they didn't care. All they cared about was destroying Jesus and his ministry, and they did not care who they destroyed in the process. People are evil, y'all. Some will destroy an entire church just to get back at one person. Something to think about. She was charged with a deadly crime. They said that she was caught in the very act. The punishment for this crime would have been stoned her to death. Graciously for her, they brought her to a loving judge. Because what many have been through in ministry, they are afraid to trust. Pray to the fall that they fall in God's hands, because God is merciful. Again, unfortunately for them, they were guilty themselves of sin unto death. Like this woman, people who are in bondage are looking for love and acceptance. That woman was betrayed by whatever man he was. The woman thought that she had found a man who truly loved her, but instead he abandoned her. You see, many of us are like this woman. We look for love and acceptance in all the wrong places, but all we get is brokenness and rejection. Let me say this about adultery. Adultery, it is sin. I'm not covering or whitewashing it, because adultery is sin. We whitewash it and call it an affair, an event that happened previously referred to. God called it adultery, and he says it is a sin. It's easy to see why. It violates marriage vows. It breaks hearts. It destroys families. It cheapens sex. It destroys trust. It shatters dreams. It's inexcusable. This should never happen, but it did. And yet, as horrible as sin of adultery is, it's no more worse in God's sight than any other sin. James 2 and 10, it says, for whoever keeps the whole law, yet stumbles at just one point, is guilty of breaking all of it. The difference is that some sin carry greater consequences than others, but sin is sin. No matter how skillful, sin is hidden from others. Jesus knows all about it. One day hidden sin will be darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which he has spoken in the ear in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. These types of executions, such harsh, but they institute or protect to the sanctity of holiness, holiness of marriage, and the moral purity of the nation of Israel. Christ, in the text, Christ speaks to the accusers. It says in John 8:6, they were tempting him to accuse him. In John 8:7, he asked him, he said, he that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone at her. We are not only holy as we think we are. When the Savior puts the light on our sin, there are 4 theories as to why Jesus, when he stooped down in the ground on that day, could it be that Jesus rolled down the sins of the people who were standing there with stones in their hands? Could it be that Jesus, he stooped down and he wrote the 10 Commandments? Could it be that Jesus, he stooped down and wrote a special message to the Pharisees? Jesus could have wrote the phrase, if any of you is without sin, let him be the first to cast a stone. Jesus, he's able to do it all. He's able to do all that and more because he stooped. Think about it, if you will. He stooped to be born in a manger. He stooped to live in poverty. He stooped to work as a carpenter. He stooped to eat with sinners. He stooped to be hungry, tired, and thirsty. He stooped to sleep in a boat. He stooped to sit on a well. He stooped to spend time with a tax collector. He stooped to touch the leper. He stooped to be beaten. He stooped to be spit upon. He stooped to be ridiculed and mocked. He stooped to be nailed to the cross. He stooped to be crucified for our sins on the cross. He stooped to die and be buried. He stooped to die. But the Bible says 3 days later, hallelujah, he stooped up. I said he got up. And when he did, everything changed. When he stooped and stood up, sin, death, hell, and Satan, and the grave were all defeated. Somebody ought to praise the Lord. Our God is a God who will stoop and then stand again. When Jesus stooped and stood up in the temple, a woman was set free from sin and certain death. When Jesus, when he stooped to die and stood up 3 days later, he delivered his people from their sin. I said there's some kinds of stones, some stones that we need to drop. We need to drop some stones, and they are envy and jealousy. We need to drop some stones. Pretend, hypocrisy, and deception. We need to drop some stones. Rejoicing when others are hurting. We need to drop some stones. Lies, gossipers, bearing false witness. We need to drop some stones. Pride and ignorance. We need to drop some stones. Anger, infestation. We need to drop some stones. Unforgivingness, bitterness, hatred. We need to drop some stones. Childishness, immaturity, vigilance. We need to drop some stones. Stop playing church Pastor, where's everybody else? She says, I'm the only one here. And he said, I shall not condemn you. You shall go. Salvation is yours. Is there anybody here? You know you've done some wrong. It's now time to drop the stone. If you're ready to drop the stone. For the Bible says, we will endure. But joy, I said joy. Joy comes in the morning. Now, in Jude, it says now unto him who is able. I said he's able to keep us from falling and to present you faultless before the very presence of his glory with exceedingly joy. I said now unto him, only him. He's the only one who's able to keep you from falling. Go. He said to her, go and sin no more. When you leave from here, leave with no stone.